I have no idea if we're now in a position where most people don't care about this. It seems like the MCU has been all over the place in terms of quality, in terms of reception, in terms of success, ever since Endgame. I am dying of allergies today, which I'm sure you'll hear, so sorry about that. But we are talking about the Incredible Hulk because, according to Kevin Feige, and I should be more specific, according to Mark Ruffalo recounting statements by Kevin Feige, we will never get an MCU solo Hulk film. That's at least just what Mark Ruffalo said. I want to go over this today. I want to go over some of the reasons for it, talk about kind of what's going on, the newest updates around the character, at least as of now, at the beginning of 2024. I'm sure this will be different in the future, but I find it interesting and I find it really unfortunate because in the comics, Hulk is an incredibly complex character. Now, there's been a lot of people who have written Hulk very poorly. There's been a lot of Hulk storylines and Hulk writers who have done a very good job by the character, and that's obviously like any long-standing comic book character, but it's unfortunate to see the state that Hulk is at right now in the MCU, with the possibilities of him going places that really matter kind of dwindling. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. If you want to help support this channel, there are a lot of different ways. We have Patreon, we have channel memberships with exclusive content, all kinds of stuff, and even a Fortnite creator code that goes to help support our channel, as well as our own store, which I'll mention at the end. So thank you very much for that, but let's hop back into it. Now, actually, at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, Mark Ruffalo was actually at a panel where he was answering questions about different projects, including Hulk and his character of the Hulk, and he actually said something that I was really surprised to hear because it was extremely straightforward, and I'm not even sure if he's really supposed to talk about this kind of stuff or not, but I guess he is. And he straight up said, yeah, Kevin, and he's talking about Kevin Feige, was like, what would you like to do? This is referring to the Hulk. And he said, what would you do if you had a standalone Hulk movie? And I said, well, I'd like to take him from this raging maniac to kind of this integrated character. And he's like, okay, we'll do that over the course of 4 movies. We'll never give you a standalone Hulk. I don't mean to burst your bubble, but that's just not going to happen. So, we'll do it over 4 movies. How does that sound? This is something I was really surprised to hear because it's just a very blatant confirmation of not doing anything with the Hulk for solo movies. I mean, it makes sense, actually, for a lot of reasons. First off, a lot of us who are not behind the scenes don't care about the business aspect of it as much, right? We're just looking for good movies. But when it comes down to it, there's some weird stuff around the Hulk with the actual rights. Of course, Universal actually has the rights to distribute Hulk movies. They had the rights as of 2006, actually, with an SEC filing to, actually distribute The Incredible Hulk, the movie with Edward Norton, before it was recast as Mark Ruffalo later on, and any sequels under the same terms as Marvel's deal with Paramount, its other distributor at the time. Now, if you want to see some of the sources for this, I've linked them in the bottom of the description so you can look at them. I try and do that with a lot of this stuff so I'm not just pulling things out of a hat and you just have to assume I'm right or wrong. You can go check the sources on this stuff, but I find it interesting because this was with an SEC filing, and that was actually for a 15-year period, which means that the distribution rights for the Hulk might have reverted back in June of 2023 to Marvel, with Disney, actually. We don't really know. I mean, they might have the rights back. They might not. There's really been no confirmation to that yet as of right now in February of 2024. So it's been a while and we still don't know. But what's weird about the Hulk is where they've left the character. Now, in the comics, there is a lot of different eras of the Hulk. There's a lot of different Hulk storylines too that are very impactful, fun, and interesting, and a lot that just fall flat. I mean, the Hulk is kind of clowned on a lot of times by people who don't read his comics, or people who unfortunately jumped on during bad runs as a bland and boring character, but I really don't think he is. He's gone through so many different versions of his character, and he's gone through so much character development back and forth over the years. And the thing that kind of sucks with MCU Hulk is that a lot of his character development actually happened off screen. A lot of what we saw was the ramifications of things that happened, but not necessarily the process of getting there. which I think is unfortunate because I think that's why a lot of people don't connect with the MCU Hulk that much. Ruffalo was answering more questions about the Hulk as well, especially with GQ, and he actually said that he'd love to do a standalone Hulk. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. It's very expensive if you did a whole movie, which is why they use the Hulk so sparingly. I priced myself out. And he was kind of joking around about that because of the massive amount of CGI you have to use. And, you know, I know a lot of people think, okay, well, they've done massive CGI before, and I do agree. But I think it's worth noting that the MCU is not doing the best job with CGI right now. Especially look at something like She-Hulk, where there's a lot of different parts that look good and a lot of parts that look very uncanny. It's very uneven. And I would argue it's because they were, you know, kind of pushing for this era, especially, you know, with the whole management shift around Bob Iger and Chapek as well, kind of back and forth. They were kind of pushing a quantity over quality for a while, and they now say they're going back to quality over quantity. But because of that, they were rushing things out too quickly. A lot of CGI was uneven in their projects, and I think it was one of the reasons why people were kind of tuning out. People were kind of losing interest and thinking this just looks fake. I mean, Ruffalo is right. If you don't do the Hulk right, he looks like trash. So I think that that is true. It's just unfortunate because overall, I think that there's a lot you could do with the Hulk, but they've done a lot of it already. Now, they did actually bring back a Sicarian spaceship in She-Hulk. Every time somebody mentions She-Hulk, I know like 90% of people didn't watch it. That's not a dig. I don't blame them. It's a very okay show. It sucks because I really love the John Byrne run of She-Hulk from back in the day. I think she's a really fun character, but people didn't connect with the She-Hulk show by and large. A lot of people thought that it was either preachy at points, or they thought that it had bad CGI, or they thought the storytelling was uneven, or a mixture of all three. But in this show, they did bring back a Sicarian spaceship, and Hulk actually leaves in about episode 2, I believe it was, and leaves with the Sicarians. He goes in a spaceship with them and says that he has some things he has to take care of. So that does kind of set up a possibility for, like another storyline. But the unfortunate thing with the MCU is where they've just left the Hulk. I don't know really where you would take it for a solo movie anyway. Let's say that the rights did revert back to Disney, that now the actual Marvel Studios group is able to just do what they want with the Hulk. They don't have to worry about Universal. They don't have to worry about sharing rights or sharing money or anything, which I guess is really only worth it for them for Spider-Man because he's so huge. Let's say that that went away. Well, right now, they've talked about She-Hulk Season 2 and it not really being a thing. So we know that at least at this stage, Hulk's not going to show back up in that, and even if he did, I don't think most people would want to watch it. But let's say those rights did go back. Okay, where do you take him? You've gone from Angry Hulk to Angrier Hulk to Hulk that cannot control himself, but he can control himself enough to help the Avengers because they're his friends. Then we move on, and we have Hulk leaving Earth of his own accord, which is different because in the comics, essentially Hulk was tricked into going to space, and by the time he comes back, he wants revenge. Well, Hulk left Earth of his own accord, so that's not a thing at all. And he's been back on Earth for a while, and he's been helping. So unless you retread the Planet Hulk storyline, which a lot of the, more interesting parts of it, or at least the iconography and the fun gladiatorial aspects were already in Thor Ragnarok, I don't really know where you're going to take that. You could retread it, but I don't know how you do so competently. And then you have to kind of do that just to set up a World War Hulk thing, unless you're just taking the name and doing something entirely different. Now, that's not to say that there's no good Hulk stories outside of Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. I think that's a misconception, but it's worth noting that those are two of his biggest storylines, and you don't really have a good way to do either of them unless you just take the name and slap them on another project and completely change it. You could. It kind of worked for Marvel's Civil War, I guess, but when you already have a problem writing the Hulk, I don't know if you really want to go changing too much, because I think that's already led them to the position that they're in. It also doesn't help that Hulk isn't necessarily a household name anymore like he used to be. There used to be the Lou Ferrigno, a syndicated show which was on TV. People loved that back in the day. Obviously, there was multiple movies. There was the one with Bana, and then there was the one with Norton. Hulk used to be a bigger name, I think, than he is now. And I would argue, even in the comics to some extent, Hulk has kind of been relegated in the MCU to a supporting character, and how you pull him out of that, especially now that he's more of like that smart Hulk or Professor Hulk type of character, and you make him interesting, I'm not really sure. And now that they've done a lot of this development off screen, if you can even call some of it development, since they just sort of glossed past it and then tried to exposition and explain it away later on, I don't really know where you take the character. I'm sure there's somewhere you can take him. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts down below. But I really think that Marvel with the MCU, they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with this guy. They really just wanted him to be a supporting character. I don't know. It's too bad. I think that there's more that could have been done with this character, and now he's in such a weird position. I still really like the Hulk. I even enjoy the MCU Hulk. I actually like the way that Mark Ruffalo plays him as well, but I think that a lot more could have been done with the character, especially with the whole thing with Infinity War and Endgame, and just skipping straight to Smart Hulk and not showing us how he got a handle on that. It pretty much just jumps 5 years ahead and he's like, yeah, no, Hulk and I are cool now. That's it. That's not really good writing. That's one of the things I don't like about Endgame, despite the fact that I actually do love that movie. I just think that the Hulk is handled pretty poorly. But I'd be interested in your thoughts down below. Do you think we'll ever see a, new Hulk movie? It kind of seems like more Hulk characters are going to be in Captain America 4. It seems like more Hulk characters are just popping up in other projects, and Hulk mythos is just kind of a background set piece to other people in the MCU. I don't really get why it had to happen this way, but that's kind of where we're at. So if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about where Hulk is at, if we will ever see anything from him, anything like that, because I'm kind of skeptical on where they go from here, but maybe some of you have some great ideas. I don't know. We also do have a lot of ways to support this channel if you're interested, including our store, cosmobunny.shop, where we've been doing a lot of comic book resin coasters, keychains, trays, all kinds of stuff from repurposed, recycled comic book paper. These are from comic books that cannot be sold from local stores, and instead of being thrown out, we take them, we make something out of them, and then we recycle the rest of the paper into the recycling system, and hey, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom, and it's all done. My wife also makes handmade jewelry over there, one-of-a-kind pieces, really cool stuff. I hope you'll check out too. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.